Famous celebrities who passed away in 1794. Before we proceed, please subscribe to our channel to support us. Richard Henry Lee. He was born in January 1732 and he died in June 1794. His age was 62 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an American statesman and a founding father. He served as a delegate to the Continental Congress and was a signatory of Declaration of Independence. Lee was instrumental in advocating for independence from Britain. He is also known for his powerful oratory and staunch dedication to American liberty. Friedrich Wilhelm von Steuben. He was born in September 1730 and he died in November 1794. His age was 64 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Prussian military officer who played a pivotal role in training the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War. His methods and discipline transformed American forces into an effective military force. Von's contributions are celebrated in the United States military history as foundational to American Army training. Joseph Fry. He was born in March 1712 and he died in July 1794. His age was 82 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an American military officer and politician, known for his contributions during the French and Indian War. Fry was the founder of Freiburg, Maine, and served as Brigadier General in the Continental Army. His military service helped to secure American territories during a critical period in colonial history. Abraham Clark. He was born in February 1725 and he died in September 1794. His age was 68 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was sunstroke. He was an American lawyer, surveyor, and politician, famously known as one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. Representing New Jersey, Clark was deeply committed to colonial rights and freedom. He faced significant personal risks as British forces targeted him due to his revolutionary stance. Thomas Walker. He was born in January 1715 and he died in November 1794. His age was 79 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an American physician, explorer, and pioneer. He is celebrated for his early exploration of Kentucky and the Cumberland Gap. Walker's journey laid groundwork to westward expansion in the United States. He was also known for his medical expertise and civic leadership. John Witherspoon. He was born in February 1723 and he died in November 1794. His age was 71 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Scottish American Presbyterian minister and a founding father of the United States. He was the only clergyman to sign the Declaration of Independence and a key advocate for liberty in the colonies. Witherspoon also served as president of the College of New Jersey, where he greatly influenced American education. John Also. He was born in January 1724 and he died in November 1794. His age was 70 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an American merchant and politician who played an important role during the American Revolution. As a New York delegate to the Continental Congress, he initially advocated for reconciliation with Britain before supporting independence. He was also known for his philanthropy and contributions to New York's early political landscape. Nicolas Leclerc. He was born in January 1722 and he died in January 1794. His age was 71 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French general who served in the French Revolutionary Wars. Despite his loyalty, he was arrested during the Reign of Terror and executed. He was recognized for his military skill and was ennobled in France before political turmoil turned against him. Pierre Boucher. He was born in January 1752 and he died in January 1794. His age was 42 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was stroke. He was a French physician from Lyon. He was the first in France to modify, then use a knotted string snare device to ligate and remove uterus and vagina polyps. He also practiced internal necrosal surgery and tibia drilling. Maurice Delbé. He was born in March 1752 and he died in January 1794. His age was 41 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French royalist military leader who fought against the revolutionary forces in the Vendéan War. As commander of the Catholic and Royal Army, he aimed to restore the monarchy and Catholic traditions. Captured and executed by revolutionaries, he became a martyr figure for the royalist cause. Justus Moser. He was born in December 1720 and he died in January 1794. His age was 73 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a German lawyer, historian, and social critic, known for his instrumental writings on society and governance. He critiqued modernization and emphasized the importance of regional identity and tradition in governance. Moser's insights are celebrated for their unique perspective in the Enlightenment era thought. Caroline Townsend. She was born in November 1717 and she died in January 1794. Her age was 76 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was an influential British political hostess and the wife of Charles Townshend. She was renowned for her patronage of reformist ideals and social gatherings that promoted political dialogue. Her influence extended to cultural circles, where her support helped artists and writers. Edward Gibbon. He was born in May 1737 and he died in January 1794. His age was 56 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was peritonitis. He was a British historian celebrated for his monumental work, The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. His analysis on the fall of Rome brought attention to themes of morality, governance, and religion. Gibbon's work is still widely regarded as masterpiece of historical literature and scholarship. Peniston Portlock Pawnee. He was born in 1743 and he died in January 1794. His age was 51 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a British politician who served as a member of Parliament in the 18th century, representing Windsor. He was involved in local governance and legislation, though his career remains less documented compared to his contemporaries. His contributions reflected the political landscape of his era. Henri de la Roche-Jacquelin. He was born in August 1772 and he died in January 1794. His age was 21 at the time of his death, and he was killed in action. He was a young French royalist leader during the Vendéan War. Known for his bravery and charisma, he inspired royalist forces to resist the revolutionary government. His early death in battle made him a heroic symbol of monarchist and Catholic factions. Marriott Arbuthnot. He was born in 1711 and he died in January 1794. His age was 83 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a British naval officer known for his service during the American Revolutionary War. He commanded British naval forces in North America and played a key role in maritime conflicts. His naval career was marked by significant engagements that shaped British colonial interests. Jacques Roux. He was born in August 1752 and he died in February 1794. His age was 41 at the time of his death, and he took his own life. He was a radical French priest and revolutionary, known for his fiery speeches and his advocacy for the poor. His radical stances and conflicts with revolutionary authorities led to his arrest, and he died by taking his own life in prison. His legacy is marked by his unyielding commitment to social justice and economic equality. Jacques Hébert. He was born in November 1757 and he died in March 1794. His age was 36 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a prominent French revolutionary and journalist, known for his radical newspaper, which criticized the elite and clergy. As a leader of the Habitist faction, he pushed for social reforms and secular policies, but was ultimately executed during the Reign of Terror. Maximilien Robespierre. He was born in May 1758 and he died in July 1794. His age was 36 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a central figure in the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror, known for his stringent policies and dedication to the revolutionary ideals. His Committee of Public Safety sought to protect France from internal threats, but his radical measures led to his downfall and execution. Augustin Robespierre. He was born in January 1763 and he died in July 1794. His age was 31 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a younger brother of Maximilian and was an active revolutionary, known for his loyalty to his brother and revolutionary principles. He held several official positions. His shared fate with Maximilian marked the end of their influence and the Reign of Terror in France. Louis-Antoine de Saint-Just. He was born in August 1767 and he died in July 1794. His age was 26 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a prominent figure in the French Revolution and a close associate of Robespierre. Known as the Angel of Death, he was one of the youngest leaders of the Reign of Terror and advocated for strict revolutionary measures. His intense ideology and loyalty to Robespierre ultimately led to his execution alongside him. Jean-Baptiste de La Valette. He was born in October 1753 and he died in July 1794. His age was 40 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French revolutionary administrator. He worked under Robespierre and was active in implementing revolutionary policies, but his association with the radical faction led to his execution during the Thermidorian reaction. His role remains emblematic of the risks faced by officials in the era. Henry Bathurst. He was born in May 1714 and he died in August 1794. His age was 80 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a British lawyer and politician who served as Lord Chancellor, known for his conservative stances He played a significant role in British legal reforms. He presided over cases that influenced English law and was a respected figure in British aristocratic and political circles. Francois Henriot. He was born in December 1759 and he died in July 1794. His age was 34 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French revolutionary who served as the commander of the National Guard. He was a staunch supporter of Robespierre and helped to enforce revolutionary policies. His loyalty to the radical faction made him a target, and he was executed during the fall of Robespierre. Jacoba van den Bande. She was born in July 1735 and she died in August 1794. Her age was 59 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a Dutch botanist and philanthropist who made history by founding the first Women's Botanical Society. She encouraged scientific education for women and contributed to botanical studies in Netherlands. Her legacy is celebrated in the field of women's scientific advancements. Marquis de Condorcet. He was born in September 1743 and he died in March 1794. His age was 50 at the time of his death, and he took his own life. He was a French philosopher, mathematician, and advocate for Enlightenment ideas. He supported political and social reforms, including women's rights and abolition of slavery. His progressive ideas and opposition to the reign of terror led to his persecution and eventually taking his own life. Alison Cockburn. She was born in October 1712 and she died in November 1794. Her age was 82 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a Scottish poet, songwriter, and socialite, known for her wit and literary gatherings. Her home became a popular salon for intellectuals and writers, where she fostered Scottish literary culture. Her contributions to poetry and song reflect Scottish Enlightenment's emphasis on artistic and intellectual life. Johann Gottlob Leidenfrost. He was born in November 1715 and he died in December 1794. His age was 79 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a German physician and physicist, best known for discovering the Leidenfrost effect, where a liquid creates an insulating vapor layer, one near a hot surface. His contributions to physics and medicine had a lasting impact on thermodynamics and experimental science. Meshulam Favish Heller. He was born in 1742 and he died in December 1794. His age was 52 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a prominent Polish rabbi and scholar known for his commentaries on Talmud and Jewish law. His writings were respected in Jewish scholarly circles, and he played a key role in preserving and interpreting Jewish teachings. Jean-Baptiste Carrier. He was born in March 1756 and he died in December 1794. His age was 38 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a radical French revolutionary known for his brutal enforcement of revolutionary policies, where he oversaw mass executions. His actions drew condemnation, and he was ultimately executed during the Thermidorian reaction. Georges Danton. He was born in October 1759 and he died in April 1794. His age was 34 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French revolutionary leader and orator, known for his charisma and pragmatic approach to revolutionary policies. Initially supportive of the Reign of Terror, he later opposed its extremism, leading to his arrest and execution. He remains a central figure in the French revolutionary story. Camille Desmoulins. He was born in March 1760 and he died in April 1794. His age was 34 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a passionate revolutionary and journalist who helped ignite the French Revolution with his stirring speeches. He later criticized the excesses of the Reign of Terror, which led to his arrest and execution. He is remembered for his eloquence and idealism in the revolutionary cause. Marie-Jean Helot de Chessela. He was born in September 1759 and he died in April 1794. His age was 34 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French politician, lawyer, and a key member of the Committee of Public Safety, known for his revolutionary zeal. He drafted parts of the new constitution, but ultimately fell victim to the Reign of Terror's Purges. Countess Palatine Elizabeth Auguste of Salzburg. She was born in January 1721 and she died in August 1794. Her age was 73 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a German countess and was known for her cultural patronage and social influence. She supported arts and helped shape the region's culture. Her legacy includes fostering Enlightenment ideals in her court. Fabre de Lantina. He was born in July 1750 and he died in April 1794. His age was 43 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French revolutionary, poet, and playwright. He contributed to the revolutionary calendar reform, which aimed to secularize time, a close associate of Danton. His radicalism led to his arrest and execution during the Reign of Terror. François-Joseph Westermann. He was born in September 1751 and he died in April 1794. His age was 42 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French general known for his brutal suppression of the Vendéan Rebellion, a royalist insurrection against revolutionary forces. His zealous actions in the field, the nickname Butcher of the Vendée. He was later executed during the Reign of Terror as part of a fractional purge. Catherine Theo. She was born in 1716 and she died in September 1794. Her age was 78 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a French visionary. She believed that she was destined to work for God. She gained notoriety when she was accused of being involved in a plot to overthrow the Republic, and the downfall of Maximilien Robespierre was attributed in part of her prophecies. John Halley Hutchinson. He was born in June 1724 and he died in September 1794. His age was 70 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an Anglo-Irish lawyer, politician, and academic who served as the 21st Provost of the Trinity College, Dublin, from 1774 to 1794. He also served as Principal Secretary of State for Ireland from 1766 to 1794. Lucille Duplessis. She was born in January 1770 and she died in April 1794. Her age was 24 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was execution. She was a French revolutionary, diarist, and author during the French Revolution. She was married to the revolutionary Camille Desmoulins. She was executed 8 days after Camille Desmoulins and Georges Danton, accused of conspiring to free her husband and involvement in counter-revolutionary activities. Charles Pratt. He was born in March 1714 and he died in April 1794. His age was 80 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an English lawyer, judge, and Whig politician who was first to hold the title of Earl Camden. As a lawyer and judge, he was a leading proponent of civil liberties, championing the rights of the jury and limiting the powers of the state in leading cases such as Antique versus Carrington. Guillaume Chrétien de la Moyenne de Malesherbes. He was born in December 1721 and he died in April 1794. His age was 72 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a prominent French lawyer and politician who served as a minister of the royal family's finances. Known for his advocacy for justice and human rights, he famously defended Louis XVI during the king's trial, leading to his own execution during the Reign of Terror for his royalist sympathies. James Bruce. He was born in December 1730 and he died in April 1794. His age was 63 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Scottish traveler and travel writer who confirmed the source of Blue Nile. He spent more than a dozen years in North Africa and Ethiopia. In 1770, became the second European to trace the origins of the Blue Nile from Egypt and Sudan. Sir William Jones. He was born in October 1746 and he died in April 1794. His age was 47 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was tuberculosis. He was a British philologist and scholar renowned for his work in Sanskrit and the development of the comparative linguistics. He made significant contributions to the understanding of Indo-European languages, helping to establish the field of comparative philology. Antoine Lavoisier. He was born in August 1743 and he died in May 1794. His age was 50 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French nobleman and chemist who was central to the 18th century chemical revolution and who led a large influence on both the history of chemistry and the history of biology. Elizabeth of France. She was born in May 1764 and she died in May 1794. Her age was 30 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was execution. She was a sister of King Louis XVI and was a French princess who became a martyr during the French Revolution. She was executed alongside her brother Louis XVI in 1794, a tragic victim of the Revolution's extreme measures against the monarchy. Sir Thomas Dyke Acland. He was born in April 1752 and he died in May 1794. His age was 42 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a British politician and landowner, best known for his role in agricultural reforms and as a Member of Parliament. His work in land management and reform was integral in shaping agricultural practices in the late 18th century. Mary Palmer. She was born in February 1716 and she died in May 1794. Her age was 78 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a British author from Devon who wrote Devonshire Dialogue, once considered the best piece of literature. In the vernacular of Devon, she was the mother of painter Theophila Watkin. Francis Seymour Conway. He was born in July 1718 and he died in June 1794. His age was 75 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a British nobleman and politician, holding the title of the first Earl of Hertford. Throughout his career, he was involved in political matters and held various important positions in the British government. His death occurred during a period of great political change in Britain. Marguerite Elie Guadet. He was born in July 1758 and he died in June 1794. His age was 35 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French politician who played a significant role in the early stages of revolution. A member of the Girondist faction, he was a prominent figure in the National Convention, advocating for constitutional monarchy. He was executed after the fall of the Girondists in the Reign of Terror. François Buzot. He was born in March 1760 and he died in June 1794. His age was 34 at the time of his death, and he took his own life. He was a leading member of the Girondist faction during the French Revolution, known for his opposition to the radical Jacobins. His fate was sealed during the political purges of the Revolution. His death escalated violence during the Reign of Terror. Hester Bateman. She was born in 1708 and she died in September 1794. Her age was 86 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was an English silversmith, renowned for her high-quality flatware and ornamental silverware. Paul Rabot. He was born in January 1718 and he died in September 1794. His age was 76 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French pastor for the Huguenot Church of Desert. He was regarded by many as the leader and director of the proscribed church. He was a peacemaker and a scholar, despite due to persecution, living like a troglodyte for more than 30 years. James Murray. He was born in January 1721 and he died in June 1794. His age was 73 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Scottish army officer and colonial administrator who served as the governor of Quebec from 1760 to 1768 and governor of Minorca from 1778 to 1782. Murray traveled to North America and took part in the French and Indian War. Philippe Dunois. He was born in December 1715 and he died in June 1794. His age was 78 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French aristocrat. Francis Light. He was born in 1740 and he died in October 1794. His age was 54 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was malaria. He was a British Royal Naval officer and explorer, best known for founding the colony of Penang and its capital city of Georgetown in 1786. Light was the father of William Light, who founded the city of Adelaide in South Australia in 1836. Wenzel Anton. He was born in February 1711 and he died in June 1794. His age was 83 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an Austrian and Czech diplomat and statesman in the Habsburg monarchy, a proponent of enlightened absolutism. He held the office of State Chancellor for about 4 decades and was responsible for the foreign policies during the reigns of Maria Theresa, Joseph II, and Leopold II. James Lind. He was born in October 1760 and he died in July 1794. His age was 77 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Scottish physician. He was a pioneer of naval hygiene in the Royal Navy. By conducting one of the first ever clinical trials, he developed the theory that citrus fruits cured scurvy. Antoine Petit. He was born in July 1722 and he died in October 1794. His age was 72 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a distinguished French physician known for his expertise and contributions to medical education. A celebrated lecturer, Petit established a scholarship in medicine that allowed students to study abroad, advancing French medical knowledge. John Roebuck. He was born in 1718 and he died in July 1794. His age was 76 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an English industrialist, inventor, mechanical engineer, and physician who played an important role in the Industrial Revolution and who is known for the development of industrial-scale manufacture of sulfuric acid. Alexandre de Beauharnais. He was born in May 1760 and he died in July 1794. His age was 34 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French politician and general of the French Revolution. He was the first husband of Josephine Taschereau de la Pagerie, who later married Napoleon Bonaparte and became Empress of France. He was executed during the Reign of Terror. François-Joachim de Pierre de Beauharnais. He was born in May 1715 and he died in November 1794. His age was 79 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French cardinal and diplomat. André Chenier. He was born in October 1762 and he died in July 1794. His age was 31 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a French poet known for his lyrical and political writings during the turbulent period of the French Revolution. His work expressed classical ideals and lamented the violence of his era. Arrested during the Reign of Terror for his outspoken views, he was executed shortly before the fall of Robespierre. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have a nice day.